Hi. David and I recently took some time off of our regular schedule activities and spent a week in the countryside here in Niagara Falls. We had some rest, relaxation, and renewing of our batteries. During that week, I kept company with Alexander McLaren. He's one of my favorite authors, Christian authors. So I picked out of our shelf a book of sermons by Alexander McLaren. The book is called Leaves from the Tree of Life. The first sermon in the book is called On Buying Up the Opportunity. So it's about time, and it's based on Ephesians chapter 5, verse 16. In the revised version, it's on buying up the opportune time. Others say redeeming the time. So when I was a Jehovah's Witness, talk of time usually had to do with getting your time in, getting your quota of field service time, door-to-door work, and the motives for doing that work range from love, concern, urgency, duty, and fear. Probably a mix of all those to some degree. In the ex-witness community, I also frequently hear discussion of time, but usually it's an expression of their time in the Watchtower was a waste of time, or they felt they had served their time when they were in the Watchtower organization. So for some people, they equate the Watchtower and the organization with all faith-based lives, and they abandon all religion, even all belief. But certainly, even if they keep their faith, they abandon contact with Christian community. Of Christendom, that is. Time is valuable, and how we live or use it reflects how we value it. If you have been disillusioned by your experience in the Jehovah's Witness organization, consider this. How much time in the organization did you devote to reading Scripture versus reading Watchtower publications? And how much of what you believed was derived from reading and meditation of Bible passages and books, Bible books, versus Watchtower explanations and reasonings on single verses? I wanted to read to you some of the Christian reflections on time that Alexander McLaren gives in his sermon. So I'll just read from his book here. The New Testament has two words for time, one expressing simply the general idea of duration, and the other, which is employed here, meaning a definite period, suitable for a certain purpose, or having certain characteristics. The distinction between the two is seen in the phrase which occurs more than once, times and seasons, and the former word being used in the general and the latter in the specific sense. The apostle has the same word as is here employed when he bids us, as we have opportunity, do good to all men. And when he enforces the exhortation by the promise that, in due season we shall reap, if we faint not. The notion here intended then is not that of time in general, but that of a definite period, bounded at either end and having definite duties to be done in it. The word redeeming, a metaphor is drawn from the conduct of a purchaser who goes into the market and there secures for a price that which he desires to possess. We are to regard each passing moment as having a specific character and definite purpose, and we are to utilize the sum of all, which is our life as a whole, to the utmost. What a solemn but often forgotten conception of life as a whole and of its minutest parts that is which regards it as a specific period, rightly limited and charged with a great purpose, which shall ever gleam distinct before us. There are many nearer and minor purposes, but the great end is to form ourselves after the pattern showed us in the Mount, to make ourselves like God as he is manifested in Jesus. We are here not for enjoyment, nor for sorrow, not for simply for the pursuit of our daily avocations, but for all these in order that they may lead on to the higher end of being changed from the image of the earthly into the image of the heavenly. Then later he says, we must make distinct effort to realize habitually the true significance and solemnity of life if we are to buy up its opportunities. It needs such effort to lead a life apart from the hand-to-mouth life, molded by sense and circumstance, which so many are content to live. It is a blessing when we get habit on the side of goodness, and all its mystical influences come to be as hedges to prevent our toppling over the precipice. But life is a poor affair unless we, realizing its true significance and solemnity, which I have a hard time saying, do live each moment not by habit only, not mechanically, not merely accepting the duties prescribed by our circumstances or avocations, but drawing nearer to him who sends our opportunities, and so learning their summons and their importance. We redeem the opportunity in proportion as we make mind and conscience regulate life. Reason should govern appetite and inclination. Conscience should govern reason, and God should be allowed to illuminate conscience. Making the best use of our time. Then the last part here he says, further, we have to make sure of God's will. As the apostle goes on to say, be not unwise, but understanding what the will of the Lord is. That will give each moment its purpose and may be ascertained by us. Circumstances may be messengers, proclaiming what at each moment God desires that we should feel and do. Sorrows are not merely meant to make us weep, nor joys to expand the heart in gladness. But these and all changing things have one unchanging intention, for this is the will of God, even your sanctification. So if we will keep clamorous inclinations dumb until his voice is heard, and will stop our ears from the strife of tongues, and if we have courage to do nothing when we do not see clearly what he would have us to do, we shall not look in vain for the guidance of God's guiding will. We cannot buy up opportunity without paying its price. What has to be surrendered that we may utilize to the full and for the highest ends the successive moments. In one word, self. Inclinations passions, and all the ugly things that lie coiled in that one word are to be given up. We willingly make sacrifices to attain the lower aims of life, and these might rebuke our reluctance to pay the price required in order to secure the greatest. All the things thou canst desire are not to be compared with the wisdom which hath in her left hand riches and honor, and in her right hand a crown of life. The man who sells all to buy the pearl of great price makes a good bargain. So then, let us realize the mystic solemnity of each moment and of the life as a whole. Let us bring intellect and conscience to bear upon all our ways. Let us seek to know God's will and be willing to pay the price. So I think by the time I got around to having Max late in life, I remember saying to Max as sort of a motto for life is that we should always be thinking of how we can bless each day. What can I do to be a blessing each day? That has been kind of a motto in the way I've tried to live, to make best opportunity of my time.